Hey guys, so we're here with the 1.5 TCP version of the Honda Civic, a car that we're familiar with for about 6 years already, since its launch in Malaysia. And I remember last time when the car first launched, made its debut, everyone was really wowed by the car. It was a real revolutionary step forward over the previous gen Civic. But right now, actually there's a new version of the Civic, and that feels more like an evolutionary step, which actually speaks to how good this car is. Despite it being 6 years old, I think it has a lot more to give and looks pretty good still. Let's find out if it has actually aged really well. All right, so with the 1.5 TCP Honda Civic, what has changed? Not that much actually. You get the usual Honda Civic front end, you'll recognize it. With this complicated LED headlight cluster over here, it'll cost a fortune to replace, but just hope you never have to. But you do get black treatment everywhere, this kind of shadow line for Honda, which is much better in my opinion visually than the chrome finish that you got before. Gives the car more aggressive, more, I don't know, sophisticated look to it. So on the sides, the first thing you'll notice as a big deal would be the wheels. Now these are 18-inch wheels, and I think a much better looking set of wheels than the old one. And actually, it comes with Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires. Quite a big deal. Those are really premium USP tires. So good on Honda for fitting them as standard, at least on this variant. On the side, you don't get much different over here. You do get the nice fastback design that we're all used to by now. And on the back you still get the Katam headlights, very famous, and you do get this new spoiler for the new model year, but actually not really a spoiler because there's no real airflow through here. It's kind of blocked away. Oh, you do get this chrome garnish over here, which in my opinion doesn't really match with the rest of the car's black trim. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, not much new stuff to cover on the outside. The bigger deal is still under that bonnet. With this Civic, Honda went from having nearly zero turbo engines to this new one being all over the place. They put it in the CR-V, they put it in the Accord. It gives you, in this tune, 173 PS and 220 Nm of torque. That'll give you sort of warm hatch performance, and actually paired with their CVT, it's a good and bad thing because it sustains boost for longer and keeps it in that sweet spot. But when you have lag from low revs, it compounds it because CVTs aren't the most responsive transmissions. But actually, this car is about outlasting the competition. Think about what cars have disappeared from our market trying to compete with this. The Peugeot 308, the Hyundai Elantra, even though there's a new Elantra in the market now, the older one. The Ford Focus, the Kia Cerato, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. The only thing that can compete with this car is the Toyota Corolla. And so you have just a duopoly of C7 sedans. And I think among the two, I would actually pick the Honda. Not less for its huge boot. Now this is 519 liters. Actually happens to be the exact same number and size volume-wise to the Honda City. Awkward. All right, so here I am at the back of the Civic, and to be honest, this has not really changed much. We're always impressed with how much space we have in the back of Hondas. This is no different. But headspace, I mean headroom between my head, the tip of my hair, and the roof is really generous. And the thing is, this is a fastback design. They want to make it more sleek, more sporty, right? But you have so much headroom. This is almost impossible. I'm not even sure why. Besides that, knee room, plenty of that. I have plenty of room to maneuver with my feet. I have aircon vents down here. The leather is nice and supple, even though it's black and a little bit cramping, but fun. You have a nice contrast of colors on the headliner. Over here, the padding on this retractable little Armrest is nice. It's a nice place to be. In fact, if you wind the clock back, let's say about 20 years, the only way you can get this amount of comfort and this amount of room in the back seat is if you buy like a Mercedes-Benz E-Class or a BMW 5 Series, something like that. Right now, you can buy a Civic, a C-segment sedan, with this much comfort, and you can actually enjoy the time you spend in the back seats. The reason why I began in the back seats of the Civic, I want to say City, it's all the same to me, in the Civic, is because I want to show you how much space there is. That's the most important part, because you can sit back there and feel like a boss. And to make sure it wasn't cheating, I actually pulled my seat back from my usual position so that it wouldn't be an advantage, and even then there's a lot of space in the back. Now we're in front, and I really like it. The dashboard is nicely laid out. In fact, let me just harp on that a little bit. With the Civic, I think you get a more sophisticated dashboard layout. With the Accord, which is supposed to be its newer, more luxurious, larger brother, I think it looks more traditional. Over here you get this overlay and sort of layered effect with the dashboard. It's really nice, and you have soft touch plastic, you have leather, contrast stitching, which is not really so contrasty, it's more like black on gray. And overall it's a very nice place to be. The screen itself is 7 inches, and it could be bigger, but the City, for example, is a newer car, so it gets the larger screen. This is not bad, but you can see if you step out of a City and you go back into a Civic, you'll kind of notice it. And same goes for the dashboard over here. It's digital, and because we're so conditioned to looking at 4K screens and super high resolution phones and whatever, you look at that, and if you pick it out, you can see the pixelation. You can see that it's not super high resolution, which is fine for most people. And in fact, after a couple of hours of driving this car, I didn't even notice it. Other than that, I think this is a great place to sit down. It's a sporty feeling car. You got pedals right here. They feel good too. This feels a lot more like a D-segment car, than the Civic. Is that really possible? Cubby spaces, huge. Down here you have a cup holder, really nicely recessed. And over here, a really deep cubby space. This is a big camera, big-ish. Just fit it right there. Come on, that's really great. Okay, so the interior of the Civic is very good. In fact, it's kind of best in class in the C segment, and for good reason. But there are some things that annoy me a little bit, okay? So with the buttons on the button layout itself is very economic and very intuitive. I get everything and how it works. There are some buttons that don't feel very good to press though. And I can forgive some, like on the screen here, okay, they're not really meant to be pressed so often, fine, they don't feel great. But on the steering wheel itself, these buttons here, these multi-function buttons, are meant to be pressed all the time. The pedals, okay, they feel good, but the buttons don't feel so great. In fact, they feel like you're tapping a piece of plastic together. Like you're tapping 2 Lego pieces together. It feels like that. And they kind of move around, up and down this way. I don't think Honda can make the interior of the Civic that much better. So far we've covered how the exterior, interior and engine have all held up pretty well over the past 6 years. I want to see if it still feels as fresh to drive. But before I set off, so a quick one on safety. This car has everything, okay? And that's courtesy of Honda Sensing. So it has 6 airbags, usual ABS, EBD, brake assist, all that kind of stuff. The passive safety stuff that you would expect. But it also has Honda Sensing, which includes active cruise control. Now, what car in this price segment gives you active cruise control? This is like luxury car stuff. But you also get AEB, or as Honda calls it, collision mitigation braking system. So what happens is that if a car in front suddenly brakes, this car, the system, can react faster than you can to apply the brakes and avoid a collision in front. So besides that, you have lane keep assist, you have road departure warning, you have auto high beam, just the list goes on. All right, so that's the safety stuff covered. Let's go for a drive. Now, I am kind of excited about this Honda because I know that the Honda Civic drives really well and the refinement is really good. But here you have added sportiness because it comes with larger wheels, it comes with a spoiler, so it looks more sporty. Also comes with Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires. That's a big deal. Tires are like the number one thing that'll transform your car from an average handling machine to something that can really handle well and surprise you. All right, I'm gonna let this Axia go first, and then I'm gonna go. First impressions. Well, this is not my first impressions. I've been driving the car for the last 2 days. So the refinement is really, really good, like I said. The materials in here really soak up the noise. I think there's something going on with the sound deadening that they put into the actual structure of the car that makes it really quiet. It's really quiet in here. Not sure if I like that, because combined with the CVT, you have a car that doesn't really make itself known to be a car. I just hear like a humming from the engine bay, from that general direction. Okay, the engine. Now, this is the 1.5 liter turbocharged VTEC turbo engine that, you know, you might love it, you might hate it. And hasn't really been the smoothest, the cleanest record of reliability for Honda. But I think they've tweaked it to make it, over the years, a lot more reliable, a lot more dependable. As far as how it drives, it's pretty responsive. But the thing is, when you add a turbo to a CVT, weird things happen. This is a small capacity engine, 1.5 liters. And so you add a turbo to it and boost it to around 170 PS and 220 newton meters of torque. You get lag. And you get lag that's compounded by the CVT. And you don't really experience that, to be honest, okay? In city driving, you don't really experience any sort of lag. It's quick off the line, and it's economical and quiet and all those things. But if you're driving it like I want to be driving it on this windy road, there's some lag. Throttle response, not too great. Again, this is down to the CVT and the turbo. But when it's on boost and in the right gear, let's say you put it on sport and use the pedals, you leave it on the right gear, actually it's quite fast. The response is quite good. You get more torque, obviously, 220 newton meters, and the CVT kind of helps you keep that in the sweet spot, so you get boost most of the time. Like right now, little squirt boost right away. This is about 4,000 RPM. And again, the engine doesn't sound very taxed. It gets louder, but not much better sounding though, I just gotta say. All right, some corners. Nice. All right, downshift. Doesn't sound bad. Doesn't sound bad. You hear that drone? The CVT drone? It's still there, but you have to be pushing hard to hear it. And you know what? If you let your imagination work a little bit, you could sort of hear that and think it's a supercharger whine. That's a VTEC. That's the kind of noise I want to get. You can't. Not in this car. The turbo kills it. How much can I downshift? Jeez, this thing just grips. Wow. Good move. Fitting PS4s. Michelin PS4s. Gives this car a real tenacious front end. Drives good. That's the conclusion, guys. Drives good. I can't say much more than that. Does it drive good? Yes. Does it drive bad? No. Does the VTEC kick in, yo? Maybe, but I can't really sense it. The revs climb, but you know the revs climb, the boost comes on, but that's about it as far as I can tell. VTEC come in, yo. VTEC come on, yo. VTEC kick in, yo. No, not really. But do you care? Do you care as the average Civic 1.5 TCP driver? I don't know. I'm guessing no. You know, you have one truck. If you have just one truck, your day is ruined. Your day is ruined on Uluyam because you just be going 40 the entire time. And luckily this car got turbo. If car got no turbo, and let's say you're in like a really, you know, a slower car or a car that has a lot of power, but all the power is way up there, and you don't have quite the confidence that you need to overtake. You fear that if you press the gas all the way down, you know, you downshift and everything, nothing really happens. You get more noise, but you don't really overtake. And then your nightmare. You see a car coming the other way, and what do? Either you brake and you tuck back in behind the truck, or you die. Whew. Another thing I don't like, this door trim, there's no reason why it can't be full length. Over here, it ends right here, so long items, you can't stuff it in there. So after a few days with the Honda 1.5 Civic, 1.5 TCP, I'm pretty impressed. It's a 6-year-old car, but you'd never realize it. It's a modern car with good looks and good handling, a great powertrain, and just best in class safety with Honda sensing. You get adaptive cruise control, you get AEB. What other car in this class gives you that? Well, besides the Corolla. And it's that reason why I'm not surprised that it outlasted every other competitor in the market. 308 from Peugeot, Ford Focus, Elantra, Kia Cerato, all to the wayside for this car. And actually the new car, the 11th Gen Civic, will have to be something really special to top this.